I'm in a good mood today. Very, very good mood today. I'm going to be in a good mood all week. I'm going to be honest. Football is on this weekend. Many big games to get into. Massive game up north between the two Manchester clubs. And then, of course, we got the London derby, North London derby, to be exact. Not that Fulham-Chelsea one yesterday. Chelsea got packed in yesterday. But the actual North London derby between Spurs and Arsenal. So I'm going to have this smile all weekend, I can tell, because we're not losing that game. It's just not going to happen. So we'll get into match day 19 results. Obviously, Brentford versus Liverpool, we already spoke about that in my last video before the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup game. So we've been off for about a week and a couple of days, I think it is. But we obviously know Brentford packed in Liverpool at the G-Tech. Going well at that moment. The rest of the games from that week, Leicester City 0, Fulham 1. Fulham, I don't know what kind of madness they're on at the moment. Fulham are on elite bits at the moment, and it's very difficult to find where they are weak, especially at home at this moment in time. Went to Leicester, who are a decent outfit at home. I mean, I don't care how poor Leicester have been this season. They're a decent outfit there. And Fulham went there and made them look very ordinary. Mitrovic on the score sheet again, I believe. Fulham currently up to 6th now because of last night's result as well, which we'll get into in a little bit. But no, they're doing well. They're doing well. I've got a couple of Fulham fans. I work with one in particular by the name of George, and he thinks that Fulham are going to Europe this year. He wouldn't specify whether that was Champions League or Europa League, to be fair. But, I mean, it's tough to argue with that right now. Fulham, halfway into the season now, holding their own, literally 3 points off the top 4 at the moment. So they're going well. As for Leicester City, it's just going to be a struggle season for them. They need to invest. Obviously, they don't have any money. We'll probably have to sell some of their star players, Maddison, Barnes, Tielemans, and a few others. But no, great win for Fulham. Arsenal got slowed down a little bit. At the Emirates, that was against Newcastle, 0-0. Not much goal mouth action because Newcastle kept them relatively quiet. Newcastle themselves didn't really come to play football. They came to defend and got the result, which is all that matters in the end. So they've kind of stalled Arsenal just a little bit, and obviously we'll do the rest of the work this weekend, and then Man United will do the rest of the work after that. Do you know what I mean? So it's nice to see, innit? We don't need to see that club winning the Premier League this season. Give it to Manchester City, give it to Man United, and it's whatever. I don't have anything against them two clubs. It's cool. Nothing to write home about. 2 contentious penalty decisions. One of them may have been one against Gabriel for a shirt pull. The second one hit the underside of the arm, which was never going to be a penalty. Didn't really know much about it, to be honest. But yeah, no, Newcastle have the blueprint of how you can stifle that team in particular. So this is the reason why Arsenal aren't going to win the league, because they don't have a bench either. They have no plan B. So I will rest in my solace with regards to that. And I will bask in it too, because there's going to be a tumble down the table from them, and then it's just going to be peak for them. And I'm sure they know it. That's why I didn't say nothing throughout this whole week with the North London derby leaving, because they know they're going to get packed in there as well. It is what it is. Everton 1, Brighton 4. Frank Lampard. Wow. McAllister came back, obviously World Cup winning with Argentina. Came on. Scored. No, I might have got that wrong, actually. I think McAllister came on in the FA Cup game and scored twice. I don't think he was available for that Everton game, but I think he was back by that time. Everton, get out, man. Just get out of this league. You are horrible to watch. It's a weird one for them because they've got really good players. I will take Decore. I will take Damari Gray. I will take... No, I wouldn't, actually. I was going to say Jordan Pickford. I wouldn't take him, actually. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, I wouldn't take him. I'll take a couple Everton players. I'll take a couple. I think we could do with a couple of them in our squad, to be quite honest with you. But Everton are horrendous. I don't remember Everton being this bad. Ever. No pun intended either, by the way. I don't remember it. I can't remember it. Brighton are a very good outfit. Don't get me wrong. Anyone can get slapped about by Brighton because Brighton actually play football in the right way, in the right manner. But Everton, at home especially, just seemed to lack ideas. not doing enough. And I don't think Frank Lampard is that personality for that club to get them up the table. And I do think they're going to get relegated because of this. Unless they change him, I don't think personnel is the problem here. They've got the personnel to be higher up the league. Absolutely. You can't tell me you've got goal scorers like Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Neil Maupay, and you're still putting in these performances on a weekly basis as well. Nah, get out of here. Doesn't make sense to me. As for Brighton have just been doing what Brighton does. Graham Potter doesn't seem to be missed. De Zerbi is doing what he does with a very, very well-functioned Brighton team. Even I read somewhere that he's sort of frozen out Leandro Trossard now. So there might be a bit of a rift there, and I heard that Spurs might be in for Trossard in this window. But I'll keep my ears peeled for that. But great win for Brighton. Brighton have no fears of anything. They'll probably finish in the top 10. Everton at this moment in time, for me, are going down. Man United versus Bournemouth at Old Trafford. It's becoming a little bit of a reoccurring theme now with Man United now. So they're in the part of the season where they don't seem to lose a game. Marcus Rashford seems to be in the form of his life. Bournemouth, don't get me wrong, aren't the toughest away from home, but they've had an okay run. But this was always going to be a formality. I think I called this to be sort of 3 or 4-0 last week, which obviously I'm happy about. But no, Rashford on the score sheet again. Manchester United seem to have found a style of football that is appealing, and it seems to work. I remember me saying that Ten Hag was a thinking man's manager, so he actually adapts his style to whatever's in front of him. And obviously acts accordingly if things aren't going the right way. So, no, kudos to him. And I said it before, I would have taken him, if we weren't getting Conte, to be quite honest. I would have had Ten Hag in a heartbeat, because you're looking at the results now. And that will probably continue as well. Obviously, United got through to the Carabao Cup semi-final midweek as well. I think they're up against Southampton, which they should beat Southampton. I think the last time they won it, they had Southampton in the final and beat them then as well. But no. Bournemouth, I still think are going down. Man United are probably having a top 4 now, and I don't think. I'm going to say obviously we're going to be in there. Because I have to. Chelsea aren't doing it. Liverpool won't do it. Newcastle haven't seemed to have found a weak spot with them as yet, but I'm guessing no Europe, they'll probably be strong. Manchester City, I've got winning the league. It's going to be a tight one up there, to be quite honest with you. I'm not entirely sure. I think the top 4 is out of about 5 teams. And it's not including Chelsea or Liverpool, to be quite honest. United are in there, City are in there, Arsenal, unfortunately, are in there, Spurs are in there, and Newcastle at the moment. And Fulham are sort of curtailed behind there as well. I think they're only 3 points, as I said before, behind the top 4 at the minute. So no, well done to them. Southampton 0, Nottingham Forest 1. See, I want you lot to start believing me when I say things like Nottingham Forest are not going to get relegated from this league, because they won't. They've got a squad of about 24, 25 different players. It's going to take time for them to gel, and they've got a really decent manager. That's going to yield results, and especially away results. They need to pick up as many away points as they possibly can, because their home form will be good. So if they can sort out the away form, I think they'll be fine. And it's showing. Southampton, I think, are another one that's in trouble. Even though I know, yes, they beat Manchester City midweek, 2-0 win in the Carabao. They're in the semi-final. I just don't think they're good enough to stay up in this league. They don't score enough goals. They defend poorly. They're so open. Midfield have no creativity in it. James Ward-Prowse obviously will pop up with a few goals from long range, because that's what he does. But they don't really have an enforcer in there. So I just think Southampton are weak all round. I read that Southampton have actually signed Orsic. I remember that name very well, because he played for Dynamo Zagreb. And I think Orsic scored a hat-trick against us 2 seasons ago to knock us out of the Europa League, or Europa Conference League, I think it was. And this was last season, actually. I think it was last season. So yeah, it was a poor night. But he's a good player. Will he get them the goals to keep Southampton up? I'm not sure. It's a bit of a tough one with Southampton, because they're a likeable club. I do like what Southampton have done. But I just don't feel like they're very weak. When you see a team sheet from Southampton, you're like, oh, he's a threat. They're very, very, very bang average. So to be bottom of the league at this stage of the season is not a surprise. As for Forest, as I said before, they're too good, and will be too good, and then we'll show everybody that they will be good enough for this league. They aren't going anywhere. So I'm happy with my prediction for that, because I said they were going to be one of my surprise packages for the season, and I'm glad to be proven right. Leeds United versus West Ham from Ellen Road, that ended 2-2. Bit of a strange game, that one, actually, because I had Leeds United to win that. West Ham scored 2 goals in the space of a minute. So they've got it in them. They can score goals, West Ham. The problem is that they like to concede too many. And when you do that, it's not a recipe for success. I don't think West Ham are going to get relegated. I don't think Leeds United are going to get relegated. But I do think both are going to have very, very tough seasons ahead. I'm not sure what they're doing in the market at the moment. Leeds play an exciting brand of football. West Ham don't play an exciting brand of football, but have individuals that can score goals. But defensively, they're both shocking, which is going to be the reason why they're both going to finish in the bottom half this season. But 2-2 points shared there. Aston Villa 1, Wolverhampton 1 in the Black Country Derby. Again, another strange one. I could have Aston Villa to win this one, but Wolverhampton, under Lopetegui, actually look a lot better. A lot better. They look a lot more assured. They look a lot more defensively solid. Aston Villa just need to add to what they have. I did say this one will probably go down as a 1-0 victory to them. So for Wolves scoring, I'm not necessarily shocked. I am a little bit, actually, because I don't have a striker necessarily, but they can do it. Wolves are very, very good in transitions. They just don't have anyone to put the ball in the back of the net as yet. Jimenez don't seem to be in top form. He's kind of in and out of injuries at the moment. So it's a sticky one for them. It's a sticky one. But again, that's one of those. Wolves will stay up and Aston Villa will be fine. Probably be mid-table this season as well. Crystal Palace 0, Spurs 4. That was from Selhurst Park. So I was fretting about this game last week. I was saying, we're not good enough. We'll probably go there. We'll get turned over. Depends who plays. If we have Kulusevski, Benton, callback, all the excuses in the world. 4-0 at Selhurst Park without Benton, Kulusevski. Wow. Just shows you we can play. Kane with 2 on the evening. Bryan Hill had a very, very exceptional game as well. Son back on the score sheet also. So things were looking a little bit rosy at Selhurst, and I was not expecting it. Wasn't expecting a clean sheet. Wasn't expecting us to slap them as we did. Obviously, we followed that up with a 1-0 win over Portsmouth at home as well in the FA Cup. So we're through to Preston in the next round, which I've heard is on TV now. So we'll be on ITV at 6 o'clock, I believe, on the 28th, I think it is. As the live game. So Preston North East versus Spurs in the FA Cup 4th round. Yeah, good momentum now. Kane is obviously in good form. Son's back on the score sheet. So we've done this just before the North London Derby, as you do. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that. I'm quite happy with the performance. I think if we play like we did against Palace in the second half, because we're still doing that first half nonsense where we don't like to play football, but second half we usually tend to finish strong, and that's what happened. All 4 goals were in the second. Kane took his goals well. And who else scored? I forget. Matt Doherty got the 3rd, and then Sonny obviously got the 4th to round it off. But no, good defensive shape in the second half. And I just think the transitions were quicker through the midfield. And this is the reason why we got the goals. Yeah, so it was a very, very sort of well thought out performance. So no, happy with that. And this is why we're going to the North London Derby with confidence, and I think we'll win it. Simple as. Last game of the match week. Chelsea 0, Manchester City 1 at Stamford Bridge, that was. It's funny because Chelsea then went to the Etihad and got slapped again by Manchester City. And that was 4-0. I don't know what's happened to Chelsea. I do know what's happened to Chelsea, actually. I do know what's happened to Chelsea. They sacked Thomas Tuchel too quickly. Now, Graham Potter is a fine manager. He's a very, very good manager that was building very, very good things at Brighton and just took the job at the right time. But I have obviously argued with a few of my friends about this. If Chelsea came in for you and you're the manager at a club like a Brighton, you know, like a Wolverhampton, and you're doing very, very well, but if Chelsea come calling, do you leave that post? More money, relative chance of success, because Chelsea always do tend to win trophies. I think they're the most successful team since, 2004 or something like that by the trophy haul they've got. It's a tough one. You'd probably go and take it. You test yourself against the best. And it just hasn't happened for him, which is a little bit unfortunate because he is a really, really good manager. We've seen what he's done previously. His CV speaks for itself. Do they stick with him? Because last night was a little bit of a sticky one. Fulham ended up winning that 2-1. João Felix, red card, welcome to the Premier League with a stupid tackle. What an idiot. Looks a baller though. If he plays in an attacking system, this is what you get from attacking players that are very good at it. They ball out. But what an idiotic thing to do, to get sent off. Jury's out on him now. I don't think the fans have turned on him just yet, but there's going to come a time when he's going to have to start looking at himself a little bit, because he is chopping and changing a lot because of the injuries, which I get. But for a club like Chelsea to spend the money that they've had to be 10th at this stage of the season and lose to your local rivals, you're probably going to lose their next game as well. It is looking at peak for them at the moment. And I don't see who else they get in at this point. If they are to sack Graham Potter, who's out there and available? You're not going to get Thomas Tuchel to come back. I don't think Pochettino takes the job either. So what do you do? Give it to a player manager? I don't know. It's a tough one. But Chelsea lose again. I think they've lost now, what, 4 on the bounce now? 3 on the bounce, including the cup game? Yeah, so it's not looking good for them. Not looking good for them. As I said before, for Fulham, amazing, in the top 6. Can see this run going because they'll have Mitrovic back for the next game as well, which we're going to get into. So all the match day 20s, I'm going to give predictions for. We're going to start off tonight, actually. The first game is Aston Villa versus Leeds United at Villa Park. I've gone 1-1 for this. I think both teams are, like I said before, not very good defensively. And I do believe that both will score. So that's a both teams to score bet. If you would, obviously, a betting person, I will go 1-1 Aston Villa versus Leeds. Man United versus Manchester City tomorrow at 12:30 at Old Trafford. Tough one. Very, very, very tough. Usually I'll go with Manchester City win because it's Manchester City. But the run Man United have been on, Man United could absolutely turn City over here. City, I don't think have been the best over the past few weeks either. I think you can get at them. And I think Ten Hag would have a plan. And I would not be surprised if Man United won this game 2-1. That's what I'm going with. Again, another team, both teams to score, because Man City probably will score. But I just think Man United at home, I think they've got this one in the bag. And unfortunately, because obviously the title race and everything else, I do think United will beat Manchester City. I only say unfortunately because I want City to catch Arsenal, but you know what I mean. It won't matter anyway because we're beating Arsenal anyway. We'll get into that in a minute though. Wolverhampton, West Ham United. That is from Molyneux. I will go Wolverhampton to win. They're going to win that 2-0. I just think West Ham they're out. They're just out of everything. They look out of sorts. They look outworked. The system is outdated. I just don't think they are in cohesion as they were last season. I think last season was a lot for them. And I just don't think they can replicate it. I think the players look a little bit tired. I think Europe hasn't helped them at all, even though I know they're through to the next round. They look like they're hindered a little bit. And I do think Wolves under Lopetegui have been a lot better. I think Wolves, they drew with Liverpool, didn't they, in the FA Cup? So they've got a replay to come back as well. So I will say Wolves based on the fact they're at home and that they are in a better form than West Ham at the moment. So Wolverhampton 2-0 for me. Nottingham Forest versus Leicester. That's on the City ground. I'm going to go Nottingham Forest to win that 2-1. Still, I think Leicester are still without James Maddison. Nottingham Forest at home have actually been very, very, very good. And have already taken scalps already this season also. Obviously drew to Chelsea, have beaten Liverpool. They look a really good unit. Really, really good at home especially. And Leicester, I don't see them causing many problems. So I will go 2-1 Nottingham Forest. When is Brennan Johnson going to score though? Jeez. But yeah, Nottingham Forest to win that one 2-1 for me. Brighton versus Liverpool from the Amex. I'm going to go with a Brighton win. That'd be no shock to anybody, to be quite honest, because Liverpool fans are the loudest fans behind the Arsenal fans, to be fair. And you need to be brought down a peg or two. And I think Brighton are going to give you what for as well. I think Brighton take that game. It's going to be 2-1 for me. Again, another one, both teams to score. I think there's going to be a lot of goals this weekend. Brighton 2, Liverpool 1. And that's all she wrote for me. Yeah, Liverpool ain't winning this game. It's another L for them. Another weekend of just laughs, shits and giggles at them, at their expense, to be quite honest. Them and Chelsea. Everton versus Southampton, Goodison Park. We'll go over 1-1 draw there. Both teams are equally as useless. There's not really much else I can add to that. There's not really much more I want to say on it, really. Everton won, Southampton won at Goodison Park. That's what I think it's going to be. There will be no outright winner there. Both are going to get a draw for that. Brentford versus Bournemouth is the evening game. I'll go Brentford to win that one 3-0 again. I see Bournemouth shipping a lot of goals. Defensively, I don't think they're that good. Don't really have a good goalkeeper. Do well in midfield. They got hips and spurts in midfield and do get the ball forward quite quickly. And they do have a good goal scorer in Kiefer Moore. I just don't think they're beating Brentford. Brentford are one of those teams at home you don't ever want to face because they do give you a game constantly. Beat Man United 4-0 earlier in the season. Have already beaten Chelsea there. Gave us a run for their money. Drew us 2-2. Beat Liverpool there last week. They beat Manchester City at the Etihad as well. Yeah, Brentford are on absolute bits. And Bournemouth are just not as strong as them. So Brentford 3-0 win there. Sunday's games, Chelsea versus Crystal Palace. That is from Stamford Bridge. So this I've got down as a draw again. Only because of the fact that Chelsea are useless and Crystal Palace do like nicking a goal away from home. They've done it in the last couple of games. I know Crystal Palace took a beating from us at home in the last week as well. So there's no way they're letting that happen again. And I do see this petering out into a 1-1 draw. Chelsea probably will take the lead, but they don't really have goal scorers to do anything. And I think Palace can catch them on the counter. So I'll go 1-1 there. Newcastle versus Fulham. I will say 2-1 to Newcastle, and I'll tell you why. I think Fulham are a very good outfit, and I think Fulham are very, very good away from home. Not as good as they are at home, and I think Newcastle, just by form, will take it. But I think it'll be a very, very close game. And I do see Fulham scoring first. But I think Newcastle will rally and obviously beat them in the second half. Plus, Newcastle have got a lot of injuries coming back as well. Obviously, Isak and Maximan was on the bench briefly. Callum Wilson is back as well. Amron obviously in the decent form as well. So, yeah, I think Newcastle, with their heroics midweek also, obviously got knocked out the FA Cup against Sheffield Wednesday last week, but then rallied that and beat Leicester City 2-0 in the Carabao to reach the semi-final. And I do think Man United and Newcastle are going into the final of the Carabao Cup there. And Newcastle could do it. Could do it. Man United will be formidable though, but Newcastle could do it. But I think Newcastle-Fulham, that is going to end the Newcastle win. And then finally, final game of the weekend, we are going to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium for the North London derby. Spurs versus Arsenal. So, last time Arsenal beat Spurs at Spurs would have been in 2013-14. That Thomas Rosicky cracker from wherever it was, straight into the top corner. I think that was the last victory Arsenal had at White Hart Lane or the new Tottenham Stadium. Arsenal haven't even won at the new Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, so I'm not even going to entertain them winning this. This is why they're quiet, because they know they're about to get slapped. And I'm not one that's going to mince my words. If we lose, we lose, innit? But I say it with whole chest. We are beating Arsenal this weekend, and I'm going with a 2-1 victory. And I do see Harry Kane scoring again, as he always tends to do against them lot. I just think for this, form goes out the window. It's all about the passion on the day. It's all about who wants it more. And we usually tend to want it more at ours as much as they want it more when they're at theirs, which is obviously why they tend to always beat us there. And we obviously now are starting to beat them at ours quite frequently, quite often. 2-1 Spurs win for me. We close the gap again on them. And then they're going to lose again to Man United next week. And then Man City will be top of the league by then. So that will be the next time I give you a video. I think we've got another match day 7 coming up as well. Crystal Palace versus Manchester United. That got called off for COVID reasons, as did Manchester City versus Tottenham. And both of those games are being played midweek next week. So Wednesday the 18th of January and Thursday the 19th is a Spurs game. And those two will be taking place. So I'll do another video for match day 21 and give you the recap of those games during that. What's happened this week? Gareth Bale retired, didn't he? Yeah. Great player for us. Wish he did more with us. Wish he won trophies with us. We had a really, really good team at the time as well. I don't know why we didn't, but that's our curse. We just don't like trophies, innit? It is what it is. It's funny that I get to rattle so many people because there's not much they can really tell me, but they hate that I talk to them because it hurts them when I chat to them because they know it's real, innit? And they absolutely hate it. But I know it's shit. That's why you can't really get me. I laugh at it. So whatever. I laugh in the face of that. But one day, who knows? It could be this season. But I'll give you another video in the next week. Until then, have a good week, have a good weekend, and we'll talk football soon, people, in a bit.